Good morning, everybody on Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us today. Yeah, what a fantastic conversation we had yesterday with Brendan Orette, straight talking actor from straight talking seasoned actor, South African actor. I've had some feedback from certain people on Facebook. Thank you very much for that. I've all the encouraging phone calls and and all the different messages. And people are talking about reinventing yourself in this time. People are talking about. I asked the question. I asked the question earlier. What would you guys like to see on this forum? And people were saying creation of guilds and rate structures. And yes, although I think it's valuable, I think this conversation can only be a catalyst to something like that, because I'm not a legal person and I'm not somebody. I'm just a freelancer like all of you. I'm just a person that works in the industry and subject to the same rate structures and guilds or organizations that we do or do not have. And then somebody also said producers and freelancers, maybe somebody of the Editors Guild, and to weigh in on the film industry's rates and it's, yeah, I don't know what they were saying. And then another gentleman said if you're not good enough, if you weren't geared for this thing before, you don't suddenly become geared in 21 days. You know, your whole career doesn't change its path unless you do something towards it. And we certainly don't have all the answers this side, but we do have experience. We do have common sense. And I would urge you guys to please comment on what you think needs to be done, because people are asking what should be done. I'm asking what should be done. I feel that people, I'm not going to come up with all the answers, definitely not. There's a few opportunities that have come my way which I've decided to take, just because I know I've got absolutely zero income for the next few months because of the same situation that everybody's in. So I think it's important to focus on what you can do instead of what you can't do. As promised, today's person that we are talking to, you might recognize his voice, you might recognize his face. Very solid businessman, person that understands how to hustle the way right through from having gone through very difficult times. After shows get cancelled, you need to reinvent yourself, and also a good mate that I've been lucky to know for a long time. We've kept contact, and please join me in wishing him a happy birthday. Spike Ballentine, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Monet. How are you, man?
A few days, a year older, man. Congratulations, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the wishes. I appreciate it.
Dude, what are you doing, man? How are you carrying on at this point? What have you guys been busy with at this point?
Well, we've been very lucky in that we're kind of right space, right time for this kind of weird setup, and we've been really busy. We've been, in fact, I'd say almost busier now in these last couple of weeks than we have been for the whole year. We had a really record start to the year in terms of new business that we signed up. So it was all in kind of preparation. Some of that's been paused, but a lot of new clients, a lot of current clients have kind of climbed on the bandwagon now to ask us to help them out.
Spike, just to put it in context for the viewers, Spike is currently the head of production at Cliff Central, which is an online radio station that you guys should go and check. I'll share their website with you, like in the next. If we can just click here. Excuse me for my. There we go. Spike is a head of production at Cliff Central, and there we go. There's what they do. Gareth Cliff is the head honcho over there, together with Spike and the rest of the team. That got going there. Tell us about Cliff Central. What is it about, and what do you do there?
So Cliff Central is, as you say, essentially an online radio station, although we only have 2 live shows as part of the lineup. Gareth Cliff's Daily Show in the morning, and then there's another show that's every Tuesday, but that's obviously on hold at the moment. And there's a 3rd show as well that goes out for an hour on Friday called That 80s Show, which is basically 80s music and 80s nostalgia. So those are the only 3 live shows that we have. The rest of our content is all pre-produced. It's all podcast. And we do, it's essentially branded content for a number of different clients, everything from insurance companies to banks to men's grooming products to we had a law firm as well. So a number of clients for whom we produce branded content, and then that is made available on our platform.
So, dude, how are you? You said you're coping with lockdown. Has it in any way hampered with what you are doing work wise, or how's it positive, and if there are any negatives? I mean, how have you guys geared yourselves towards working remotely?
Well, I think let's start with the negatives, which also are very manageable. As I said, we started the year incredibly positively. We took a decision at the end of 2018 to restructure the company and focus more on pure podcasting rather than live shows. We had, previous to that, we had a full day of live show lineup that we canned almost all of the shows in favor of podcast production, because the idea was to move into pure podcast production and kind of world-class podcast production. So when we decided to do that, we started finding clients. And as I said, we had a really good start to this year. We found a number of new clients who were wanting to do, proper podcasting, not just 2 people in a room or 3 people in a room having a conversation, which in the South African context is largely what podcasting is. If you look at all the major broadcasters, when they talk about podcasting, it's basically repackaged radio shows, which is not what we're aiming to do. So when we signed these new clients, it was kind of the first steps towards doing proper, engaging, story and narrative-based podcasting. And we were all, incredibly excited about that. Our clients were excited about it. But then, obviously, the whole lockdown came about, and that changed everything. So we've been forced to revert to the kind of podcasting that everyone's used to, and that's conversations around a table, conversations in a room. And that's purely because we're unable to go out and travel and get the audio that we want or that we need. So that's really the only negative is that we can't produce the work that we want to, and we can't produce at the standard we want to, because obviously online recordings aren't nearly as good as studio recordings. So that's the only negative. And it really is outweighed by the massive positive that we do have a lot of work to do. We do have a lot of clients wanting podcasting. We do have a lot of clients wanting help with their social media and with their messaging during the lockdown, and kind of some of them are wanting communication strategies during lockdown as well, and how they stay relevant and how they stay top of mind and how people stay engaged with them. And they've come to us, and that's the work we're doing at the moment. We're literally churning it out day to day. I mean, I've spent every day of this lockdown for 8 to 10 hours in front of my laptop, either, writing proposals or, cutting audio.
Carrying on, eh? Because I mean,
exactly.
if you just sit down and do nothing, it's nothing will get done. I mean, it's
exactly.
Obvious. It's an obvious thing, dude. Just for the idiots like me that I don't understand. I don't understand the podcast. This is essentially a podcast, and I'm starting to sort of grasp the fact of having conversations with people and people listening in and getting value from it. Explain to us a podcast. I mean, why and how, and if you may, how does one make revenue out of a podcast? How does it work?
Well, there's a very nice way we like to explain podcasting, and that is that it's the newest form of the oldest form of communication in history. So podcasting is essentially digital storytelling. What you're doing with a podcast is you're telling a story, and whether that story is branded content or murder mystery or documentary, or, for example, my podcast, which is kind of an infotainment type podcast. It's always about storytelling, and it's engaging with an audience or with people on that level. And there are very few rules in terms of, what it should sound like, or how long it needs to be, or what the topic needs to be. It's just basically a story packaged for people to consume across, whatever platform they like to use, whether it's Android or Apple or, some agnostic platform. The stories are all made available there. And then the monetization question is one that I think a lot of people all over the world are grappling with. Cliffcentral.com our model is essentially branded content. So we produce podcasts for clients. They pay us for that. That's the way we make our money. In more developed markets, in more developed podcasting markets like the States, like Europe, there are guys make money off sponsorship. They make money off advertising. The adverts are inserted dynamically. So it would be like a radio show, 3 or 5 or 10 minutes in, there'd be a 30-second commercial, or there'd be a billboard at the beginning or the end or in the middle. So it just depends where you are in the world. But in a South African context, it's largely branded content is how podcasters are making money.
Would you say it's like a normal radio station? It's just more accessible to an online audience, or how does it? Why would we listen to Cliff Central instead of just a normal switching on the radio? How did you position yourself there?
I think the major difference, and it's not just a Cliff Central positioning, it's a major difference between podcasting and radio, is that in radio, when you listen to radio, you are a passive listener. You are listening to what they serve you. You have no choice other than phoning up and saying, "Hey, can I have a song because it's my birthday?" You have no choice in what they say. You have no choice in what the DJ chooses to talk about. You might have participation in it, in that you could phone in or send a message or a voice note or whatever, but there's no way to direct what's going on. And so largely you're served content on that basis. The big difference with podcasting is that you choose to engage with a podcast. You find a podcast that you like, and you then you will download it and listen to it. That's the one major difference. The other, of course, is that podcasting is not real time. So when you listen to radio, it's there and then it's gone. Podcasting is as and when you want it. You can listen to it while doing other things. It's in a lot of ways more effective than video, because video requires your concentration. You need to be sat in front of a screen watching the messaging. Whereas a podcast, you can engage with a podcast while you're driving, while you're at gym, while you're cooking, or while you're parking on the couch. It doesn't make a difference. So podcasting really fits in with you almost more than any other media, and I think that's one of its strengths.
So people that don't know Spike also would, you might not know it, but this man can really drive the wheels off any car that showed him. He's motoring journalism, writing. He's a use of his own here. I repeat. There you go. We'll see. The motoring blood, the petrol runs right through all the different ends in repeat.
Eat Sleep Drive Repeat is it's really just a podcast about cars. It's there's a very small news element to it. It's supported by other platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, but the podcast itself is just new car reviews. So I get test cars, I go out, I drive them, and I review them. Pretty much what I used to do for a TV show that I was involved with. I've taken that recipe and just applied it now to driving, to podcasting rather. So it's Eat, Sleep, Drive, Repeat is just new model reviews. It's in a range of whatever comes my way. If it's a big BMW or a tiny Renault and everything in between.
Work, how's that busy for you? customers about slow. You hear me decently at least.
Oh, sorry, you're just breaking up there a little bit.
The internet has been atrocious. Eat, sleep, drive, repeat. What do you? I know you like cars. You know, like I like cars. We've worked on many different inserts together on RPM TV, which is no longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is Eat, Sleep, Drive, Repeat doing for you other than giving you cars to drive and review every day or every week?
That's all it's doing, and to be frank, that's all it has to do at the moment. Obviously, the idea is to grow it into something that earns me an income, and I can kind of get some money from it. But at the moment, all it's doing is providing me cars, and I don't need to tell you that not owning a car is a massive saving. So because of Eat, Sleep, Drive, Repeat, I don't have to own a car because I get test cars. And I mean, they're not strictly back to back. I might go a few days or a week without a car, but it means that I don't have to own a car. So that's the primary motivator for doing it. That's what I earn out of it is a car. And
it's been like that for many years, I know. And you've been driving some exciting cars.
I mean, I haven't owned a car since 2006. It's been marvelous.
Yeah, I think a lot of people living in Joburg is either not owning a car. I would suggest anybody who's living in town or in the city. I mean, geez, with Uber, you just can't. There's no ways of getting around the savings of it. Yeah. Car wise, we'll get back to Cliff Central in a second. But car wise, what's on your radar for the next? When obviously lockdown comes out, what is on your radar coming up for the next? I say foreseeable future.
Weirdly, I had a look at my calendar last night to see if lockdown ends when Cyril says it's going to end. I think the first car I get is a BMW M135i, and the car after that is a Kia Seltos. But that all depends on.
It all depends.
Yeah,
I mean, lockdown was supposed to be today. I mean, we were supposed to be back at work today.
Exactly.
Yesterday was going to be the end, 12 o'clock last night. It would have been back to normal, but subsequently not.
I was looking forward to the biggest birthday party in my life, but unfortunately not.
To that point, what have you got planned for your birthday? Have you baked yourself a cake? Have you have you got a Skype call, Zoom vibe going on?
Yeah, I got a couple of house party calls scheduled for later. I've got a couple of Zoom hangouts scheduled for later. My girlfriend is a fantastic baker, so there were waffles this morning. There's going to be brownies later. Sweet. So that's all sorted. So happy for that.
Yeah,
I've got a few bottles of whiskey, so I'll drink a toast.
Oh, you're still good.
Yeah,
and you also, I suppose the middle is going wider as well, dude. Oh, man. Yeah. Dude, what I'd like to find out from you, from where you work right now at Cliff Central, your main job. What have we got to look forward to, or how would you suggest we engage with Cliff Central? I've personally, had the odd. I've been to the offices. We've filmed a viral thing for Mike Sharman a while ago. I think it was last year for something in the sort of outside the studio there with you guys.
Yeah.
But explain to us maybe why we should engage with Cliff Central or any online radio platform for that matter. But I mean, give us an idea of why do you think it's worth engaging with an online radio station rather than, say, traditional radio stations.
Again, I think it just
other than you served up. Sell it. I think.
I think the thing is we have these conversations with clients all the time, and the simple truth is that for me, podcasting occupies a pretty uncluttered space. So certainly if you're trying to get a message across from the one point of view, if you're a corporate and you're trying to get a message across, podcasting engages people like nothing else. As I say, it's the newest form of the oldest form of human interaction, and that's storytelling. So you're able to engage people on that level. We are innately built to engage with stories. And we know that as media creators, but podcasting does it on a level that ignites the imagination like very few media can. So from that point of view, it's a very, very powerful way of delivering message. delivering messaging. And there's a lot of research around how brands are benefiting from podcasting from a recall point of view, from an impression point of view, from an engagement point of view. Stats like 80% of people who listen to a podcast will engage with the brand in some way, either by buying something, either by investigating the brand, or checking them out on other platforms. So there's lots of positive spins from a brand point of view. From a pure entertainment point of view, like I say, there's a podcast for everything. No matter what interest you have, you'll find a podcast for it. And you can enjoy that podcast when it suits you. You don't have to worry. You don't have to wait for someone to schedule it or bring it up. It's easily accessible. The data question doesn't really come into it, because it can be, if you're not on a Wi-Fi and you're accessing via your mobile data, the file sizes are still relatively small compared to something like video, certainly. So it's a great way to learn. It's a great way to be entertained, and it all in a way that suits you and your lifestyle, and you can you can engage with them whenever you want and wherever you want, literally.
So to that point, I just wanted to pick your brain, for the person that's sitting out there listening and thinking, I want to do a podcast, but what do I need? Oh, now I need a microphone, and I need this, and I need that, and I don't think that's. I mean, I've spoke earlier very much on one of the earlier broadcasts. You could use your mobile phone to record. Yeah. There's a certain way you can post it from there. Just take us through the basics. I mean, you don't have to give us the full 9 yards, or if you want to, you're able to. But give us the budding podcaster that wants to get their stories out there. How do you do it, and what platforms would you suggest to release it on?
Okay, so this podcasting is very much like like filmed media, in that if you have a phone, you can produce a video. It's the same with podcasting. If you have a phone, you can produce a podcast. The difference is that the quality that you're producing is not dependent on the equipment you use. To an extent, it is, obviously, but if you're going to produce a great podcast, it's not a matter of getting the best mic on the market and recording something. It's a matter of finding a story worth telling. It's finding people worth speaking to about that and involving them. It's putting together the story in a compelling way, and then you can be as fancy or as simple as you want with the edit and the production, and the packaging of it. And once you've got that audio product, the number of platforms you can go to also they're vast. So just a common misconception about podcasting is that Apple Podcasts is not a podcast host. They're just an aggregator. So you would use a company like iono.fm, which is a Cape Town-based company, who Cliff Central uses. I use for my podcast as well, and they are a podcast host. And you would go there, upload your audio, upload the artwork, the show notes, etc., and then you would take that feed and aggregate it through something like Apple Podcasts. And that's the very, very simple way of how to get a podcast out there. But just
you're saying that sorry, can you see this website? Is that
yes.
You're talking about that platform there?
Yeah, that's iono.fm.
Okay, cool.
And they have a number of packages. They have a free package that's actually quite generous, and then obviously they got, the bigger your podcast goes, then the more space you need, then they'll charge you a bit more for it.
Okay, cool. And then you'd say this is a platform where you put it out on. Can you see what I'm doing here? I just want to make sure prices and packages. Yeah, the products. I'm not going to go into too many details, but there's all the information you need here to get through, get yourself started, and all the information is online, which you can definitely use to up your game.
Yeah, and I would suggest that if you are thinking of putting a podcast together, I would suggest that you do a bit of reading about what makes a good podcast. Spotify have got a really good series called the Gimlet Academy, which is, I think, 5 episodes long, and it talks you through the different aspects and the different elements of putting a podcast together. That's definitely worth listening to.
Will you put that in the comments after this? Just put that in the comments. The details that you're talking about now,
Sure.
and then Spike, frequency and how would you? I know people say that you should be producing. That's one thing that's quite important is to be producing at a very constant pace every day, every week, every month, but at least so that your viewers or your audience gets used to your rhythm of posting. What is your take on that?
Exactly that. It doesn't really matter as far as I'm concerned whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, as long as you do it consistently. I haven't been that good with that aspect of my podcast purely because I've got a day job to do and that comes first, and then my podcast comes second. So I've been trying to produce at least bi-weekly, so an episode every 2 weeks, and if I can, I'll produce one a week. But certainly over the last sort of 3 months, I haven't been that good at it. But my goal is always to produce as consistently as possible, because there's so much media out there that if you don't produce, you kind of fall away from top of mind, and then you lose audience.
Yeah, and that I think this is also the reason why I'm doing this, is to engage different people in the industry, engage my network, and stay top of mind, because it gives you. What else is there that you would like to talk about, man? I think we've sort of exhausted our. The fact that we can't sit across each other and have some sushi, then the conversation goes quite longer. It's very weird. We don't have sushi or a coffee shop
or a burger.
Or a burger,
I think the one thing you say about remaining top of mind is vital. A lot of people are in a very, very difficult situation where there's little to no work, and the forecast is that there will be little to no work for a very long time. And I think the one thing I learned when I went through a similar struggle, sort of between 2015 and 2018, is that you can. There's two things you can do. One is to try and diversify what you do. So if you are, I'll give you my example. I was a TV writer and presenter. I ran an audio production studio, and I have an audio production background. So as a TV was kind of my newest thing that I'd been doing, and I was just on the periphery. As I say, I was a writer and presenter. I wasn't involved with the technicals. So when things got tough for me, I learned how to do animation, basic titles animation, sort of motion graphics, and I learned about editing and filming. And I took that and kind of added it to my bow, and sort of tried to make a small business out of doing corporate videos for companies that might require it. That was the one thing, is to try and diversify, add to your skill set, and offer that to the clients that you have. And the other thing that I learned is that network is the most important thing you can have. Use the network that you have. Resurrect old relationships that you think might be useful, and forge new ones. Look at the things like LinkedIn and any platform you can. I think a lot of people will poo-poo the LinkedIn idea, or don't do it this way or don't do it that way. Frankly, I think whatever way you can expand your network, you should do it, and make sure that those relationships are maintained. Make sure that your name is kind of top of mind or near to top of mind. Make sure that those people know what you can do, so that when the work does become available, that you're one of the people that's on their mind, and they can approach to do the work for them. I think network is the most important thing beyond any skill. Having a network of people you can approach, and who can put you in touch with other people, or who can suggest you to other people. That's the most important thing you could do. And I'll go so far as to say that the only reason that I am where I am now at Cliff Central with the gig that I have is because of that relationship that I worked with Gareth at 5FM back in the early 2000s. Him and I were, we worked together, I think, for 2 years, but him and I maintained that relationship. And I don't mean we went for coffee every week. It was, a phone call on a birthday and a kind of a stop by once a year, maybe, to see how it's going. And so when the time was right and they were looking for someone to head up their production, I was the guy they approached, because Gareth and I had maintained that relationship. Yeah. We'd maintained that network connection. And again, that's the only reason I am where I am now, is because that network connection came through for me. So it's vital. It's the most important thing you can do.
I think I can't agree with you any more. We've maintained our relationship, friendship and business wise, on a regular basis, and we haven't really done any work together. Both in our and we've in business, although we have done business together. We've always kept our business relationship together, but now become a situation in a position where and production, and that's what we do. And it's and we've had dealings with quotes and all sorts of things, although nothing's come to pass. It's not a dead relationship where you'd go to somebody else, because we've kept that business and friendship relationship together. And and we've done some passion projects. Remember the Audi in the studio that we did? Actually, the profile picture for this broadcast.
Yeah, I mean,
which is something that also we both use.
Yeah, I mean, you raise an interesting point there, is that, a lot of those relationships may not produce anything financially for a very long time, but it's important to keep them, because, you and I, for example, we see value in the work that we do. It's a bonus that we get on well and that we're mates. But I think the fact that we haven't actually earned a buck together is almost irrelevant, because I think you and I both know that there will come a time where one of the projects that you pitch on or I pitch on that it requires the other, one of them will come off. So I think that's the important thing, is don't expect that your relationship, just because you keep them alive, will earn you any money.
It's going to make you millions.
It's not. It's a matter of maintaining it and waiting for it to blossom.
Louis just dialed in from New Zealand. He's a producer, director, photographer, ex-South African that's living in New Zealand, and he's saying thanks for the inspiration. Louis, appreciate the encouragement, man. Yeah, I think to that point about relationships, it's I think I'm personally in it for the long game. I'm not looking to make a quick buck out of somebody and next week I don't call them again. I think it's about, for me, it's about in 20 years from now, we're going to be bitching and moaning on the stoop, having a whiskey about the industry, but we will still be friends, although we didn't even make 1 cent together. We still can talk the same language, and I think it's about talking to people that understand what you're about in this industry. Not many people understand. Not many people would know what the media industry is about, and we've spoken to television production company owners, agency.
Oh, Monet, I've lost you there. Your internet has taken a walk.
It's like so they've taken, trying to dial in. I'm trying to put a. Have you got me?
You're coming back.
Shake
you're coming back. I can hear you now. Still a bit shaky, but you're there.
That's not. It's the. Dude, thank you very much, Cashin. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the knowledge that you were willing to share us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and enjoy your. There's Di Rosen. There we go. She's on screen now. Can you see there?
Yeah.
So Di Rosen is a also works in the industry. Extremely fantastic live OB director, and she's also busy. But she's also freelance like all of us. But like I said, thank you very much for the friendship. Thank you very much for the knowledge, and enjoy your birthday, man. And I hope hope everything goes as planned. And well, I can say don't indulge too much. Indulge over a period of time. You've got long time. You've got a few days.
At the very least, I've got the whole weekend. So I've got the whole weekend and at least 2 bottles of whiskey. So. So
enjoy your weekend, enjoy your birthday, and please put that link of that thing that you said earlier. I've already forgotten what it was. It's something
the
in the
Spotify
description.
series. Yeah, I'll do that.
And you'll see some of the people only start commenting after the discussion because people watch it later. They're busy with their lives and things like that. But yeah,
sure.
Keep it going. And thank you very much, man. And I'll hopefully see you sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for inviting me on the chat. It was really great. Good to see you. And yeah, man, stay safe and all the best.
Thank you, man. Same there.
All right, man. Chat soon. Cheers, man.
Bye. Guys, good discussion on how to position yourself in this weird time. I mean, why not start now with a podcast telling your story? I do think it could fit quite a few things I've learned about social media, different kinds of the internet. Like I said, but it's that you think is important. Talking to small kids, 12-year-old, cooking shows on Instagram, and the little boy say, how can he create his I'll try and get into the discussion later. I'll put it in the comments. The first thing that he said, and the most important things he said to this 12-year-old was, don't chase the likes. Do what you think is that makes you happy. Do what you think. Do what makes you happy. Produce the content that makes you happy, and then the likes and the followers will come. But if you're chasing followers, you'll constantly be changing what you want to produce. And I think if you've got something valuable to say, if you've got a story to tell, do it. Also, a very important thing is to produce and release content in a so if you have, say, 2 or 3 weeks, every Monday, every Tuesday, every gonna be producing, being quiet. That's not the way to go. All these subjects. And enjoy your weekend. I'll speak to you on Monday. Will we speak to a it has to be another station, time since 3.